If the unilateral use of force, the execution of civilians, piracy, and the looting of resources of sovereign states are tolerated, the world is headed toward global confrontation of unpredictable proportions. A systematic practice of lethal use of force outside any international legal framework, and even outside the United States' own constitutional framework, where today an intense debate is taking place both in Congress and in public opinion that largely condemns these actions. In December of 2025, the United States proceeded with the kidnapping and theft of 2 vessels on the high seas that contained approximately 4 million barrels of Venezuelan oil and announced an absolute naval blockade against tankers transporting Venezuelan energy. These actions constitute acts of piracy, as understood under customary international law and the practice codified by the United Nations as illegal acts of violence, detention, or depredation committed on the high seas against vessels and their cargo. If the unilateral use of force, the execution of civilians, piracy, and the looting of resources of sovereign states are tolerated, the world is headed toward global confrontation of unpredictable proportions. We responsibly warn that these aggressions will not only impact Venezuela. The blockade and piracy against Venezuelan energy trade will affect oil and energy supply, increase instability in international markets, hit the economies of Latin America and the Caribbean and the world, especially the most vulnerable. Energy cannot become a weapon of war or an instrument of political coercion. We demand the immediate cessation of the military deployment, the blockade, and the armed attacks, and we activate the mechanisms of the multilateral system to investigate, sanction, and prevent the repetition of these acts. Defending Venezuela today is defending peace, international legality, and the stability of the world. U.S. forces carried out 28 armed attacks against civilian vessels in the Caribbean Sea and the Eastern Pacific Ocean, resulting in 104 people extrajudicially executed, many of them in a shipwreck condition. These acts directly and repeatedly violate the right to life. The most modern Western democracy in the world, which respects people's rights. Please do not tell me that it is the United States of America. We're the heirs of Sir Francis Drake, called a knight by Queen Elizabeth I, simply for being a pirate in the Caribbean. We are now witnessing the same file, the same practice. That is why Bertrand Russell said that the United States of America is an empire that moved its location. The same empire, the same practice, the same barbarism, the same crime, the same offense. These Venezuelan people with calm, decency, dignity will respond to all aggressions and will prevail. Have no doubt about that.
Para comprender la motivación de esta ley debemos remontarnos a estos 4 meses.
To understand the motivation behind this law, we need to look back over the past 4 months of a North American blockade carried out by that country's Navy. Recall the 3 key events that escalated the situation. The first was the extrajudicial killing of people who use the sea for livelihood and trade. The second was the unilateral blockade of the entire Caribbean air and naval space. And the most recent was the violent boarding of merchant ships with crews and cargo seized.
Unilateral del espacio aéreo y naval del Caribe todo. Nosotros Al norte de nuestro territorio.
To the north of our territory lies the Mare Nostrum, the Caribbean Sea. All commercial activities that link us to the world and the world to us pass through these waters. This law aims to safeguard those trade connections and to protect us from the predatory actions carried out by the United States government in our Mare Nostrum.
Esa relación comercial y protegernos a nosotros.
Una cosa es la política, una cosa es que no hayan podido resolver los problemas en Venezuela.
One thing is politics. Another thing is that they have not been able to solve the problems in Venezuela and can move with impunity through the streets. Some politicians in Caracas, others in the world. Some who act with impunity, others silently. Others who are not heard at all. Not a word, a letter, nothing. Not even a comma. To reject what we are suffering today in Venezuela and what we could suffer if we do not confront it as we are doing with this law.
Los corsarios de antes y los ladrones forajidos de ahora tienen algo en común.
The privateers of the past and the outlaw thieves of today have something in common: superior weaponry. In those times, the privateer, having better weapons, could board ships as he pleased, and that is what helicopters and ships can do today, intercepting whatever they want, and nothing happens because international organizations remain silent.
Internacionales guardan silencio.
Times of India videos, your daily dose of India and the world. Global news, different views, and sharp analysis.
Pressure of expectation from your fans, your supporters.
That is often served as a backdrop for several Bollywood.
You're not a brute majority anymore. If you individually take out Tehran.
Making sense of global conflicts. Tracking the new emerging world order.
Strike on Israeli military bases.
A multi-pronged.
To stay out of harm's way as Israel started bombing targets across.
Understanding changing alliances in a polarized world. Tune into TOI videos for all this and more. Click on the bell icon to subscribe and never miss an update.